Hello, and welcome to the End in Mind podcast. I'm your host, Caitlin, the owner of Meraki Media Management. The End in Mind is a place where we come to share stories, tips, and strategies of many entrepreneurs, creatives, business owners, and just some people that aren't willing to live the traditional lifestyle. We talk about how to live outside of the box today and how to incorporate what really is important in your life to keep that end goal always in mind. Again, if you would like to reach out to me in any type of way, you can find me on Instagram at Meraki_media_management, and I hope to hear from you all soon. Thanks so much and enjoy our show. What is up, my party people? Oh my God, I wish I could sing. Do you ever think about all of the things that you wish you could do? I really did used to love singing when I was younger, but I don't do it as much as I should. Maybe I'll start adding to that to my self-care challenge. What do you guys think? Oh my God, I'm losing it. Can you guys tell I'm losing it? This is still before my vacation, so hang on with me, bear with me here. But I give you guys all of the stress that comes along, right? Because starting a business is not always going to be roses and butterflies, just like anything in life. Even if you have a corporate career, it's the same thing, right? It's not always perfect. So that's why we give the ups and the downs, all the craziness, all of the left-handed, curveballs that come our way. We share it here. So welcome back to the End in Mind. Super happy to have you guys here. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for understanding my craziness, right? Since honestly, to be a business owner, you do have to be a little bit crazy. But I heard this, I forget where I heard this. It might have been on a TV show or something. But someone said everybody has a little bit of crazy. I was like, you know what? I resonate with that. Everybody has their own unique crazy, and it's just whether they let other people see it or not, right? I'm an open book, so I try to be as transparent as possible, but I've always been this way since I was a young girl. I don't lie about anything. I literally do not lie. The times that I do lie, I feel sick, right? It doesn't work for me. I literally will make myself ill. So, anywho, welcome back to the End in Mind. This podcast episode, I really am super excited about this because this is something that I studied while I was in college. And it's been something that I've been just trying to stay aware of in 2022 because I'm noticing such a shift in humans, right? All since 2020, we as human beings have changed so much, through traumatic experiences or through personal development work, whichever side of the spectrum, right, people might have been on, and no judgment to either one, right? We all have our own journey. But the thing that I really find interesting about today's society is how much communication has changed, right? And what happens when communication evolves. We saw this happen when cell phones first came out. We saw this when the internet first came out. Communication evolved so quickly, and it took people time to adjust, right? It's happening so fast as a society. We're trying to catch up to that growth, right? And in today's day and age, it's so fast. And the reason why it's all so fast is because of the internet, right? So see how much just one thing, one shift in communication can impact us as a society forever, for all of the future. Right? That's a heavy concept to think about, but it's something as a business owner and in marketing, we all should be aware of, right? Because as communication evolves, we evolve with it at that high capacity level, or we don't, right? And maybe we crash and burn a little, and then we have to navigate around that crash and burn, right? So when I think about when the internet first came out, I was pretty young. My mom was not into letting me have a Facebook until I was in high school. I was never allowed to have a MySpace. I was born in 1996. So the fact that I didn't have a MySpace, I was a loser basically. Shout out to all my people that couldn't have a MySpace. I feel for you guys. But at that time, I actually really appreciate those limits that my mom had put on me at a young age, because it taught me how much I needed to limit my own social media usage when I was allowed to have a Facebook account. Like, I was only allowed on for a certain hours of the day. And that actually really helped me as a kid. Like, I'm a very creative person. I actually love to be outside. Like, it's kind of funny that I'm in like the tech industry, because I had always wanted to be like a marine biologist. Like, what the hell, you know? No, like work in social media. It's like so funny, because I really do love nature. Like, I love being outside. I love animals. It just didn't end up working out that way, clearly, which is why I'm here chatting with you guys today. Basically, people evolve with communication, and that those types of shifts that like we think might not be a big deal when they're actually happening, they have such a trickle down effect on society. And the more we can start to think ahead, like I learned most of this through my first investor, and he would teach me how to think about economy, how to think about people. I also studied this in college, so like I was in persuasion class studying different cults, right? And like why people were so manipulated by rhetoric and what that rhetoric does. Because really, I think the most power that we have as human beings is first our spirituality, because that connects us to a higher, whatever you may believe in, right? A higher thing. When I say whatever you may believe in, I mean like God, universe, spirit, however you want to define that. So first is our spirituality. Energetically, right? That's like probably our most energetic pool. And then I would say right up there with spirituality is communication, right? Because words are energy, and words are how we communicate so that we can make things happen, right? Like if we don't have words, then people would never even be able to communicate to develop like something like the internet, right? So the power of the word is really what I'm getting at with this. And that means the speed of the word coming, right? Like the amount of content that we're consuming is so exhausting on a daily basis. Like we physically are not wired to be on our phone for 7 hours a day. We're not physically, like people honestly aren't even physically wired to like sit at a desk all day, right? Like that's unnatural for us. Like our bodies were not evolved to do that. So that's why people have back pain. Like I'm sure you guys have seen these studies come out. I'm probably not telling you anything you didn't already know. But what this comes back to with communication is like now people aren't really going into the office, right? Or maybe they are, but it's out of choice. They want to be there. They want to be showing up to the office every day, versus the people like us who are working from home that can have that more creative outlet, right? Like get upstairs, go for a walk during the day, breaking up our day. And the reason why this is so needed is because how rapidly communication has changed. Like just because these self-care things started to come out in 2020, like there's a reason why people are pushing that, because they knew that the amount of content that people would start to consume was going to drive them insane, right? Like when you think about the news, like that's why some people started to go off their rockers, right? And like, again, no judgment here is coming on my end. I lost my rocker too, right? Like I freaking lost it. Hello? We were all scared to death. We had no clue, literally, right? Like what was happening. And there's a valid reason for that because of this fear, right? But it all comes down to communication. It all comes down to words that are being said, and then that energy is being picked up, right, and passed through society. That's why when you think about these concepts, like when you're talking to your clients, honestly, what they're feeling from the collective society, right? Like really when you start to get into this energy work and be able to understand it, it's miraculous because it actually gives you more knowledge than most people have, especially if you are an empath like myself. If you are a highly sensitive person, we're already picking up on these energies naturally just because it's literally in our physical makeup, right? It's how our brains work. That's why empaths have this gift. Like only 20% of the people, if you guys didn't listen to my podcast with Ify, she's absolutely amazing. Go back and listen to that. she's awesome. And only 20% of the people in the world are empaths. Like, that's nuts, right? Like, we have a leg up in society if we're able to keep a pulse on energy, right? Like, we know where people are before they even do speak, communicated, right? Like, before they even have that rhetoric there. So that's almost like a missing link, right? That like we empaths can fit into. So that's what's so wonderful about communication. But it also can be very bad, right? Like I shared earlier, like what I studied in persuasion with these cults. And if rhetoric is not used in a right way, it can be very, very dangerous. Like if you go back and you look at some of my posts during 2020, this is something that I spoke about a lot because I felt as if the rhetoric that was being thrown out might have not had a lot of information that people needed to hear at that time, right? Like they needed support instead of fear. That's my opinion, and you are welcome to have any opinion of your own. That's what the beauty about human beings, right? We all have different opinions in life, and that's what creates our collective whole, right? That collective emotion that I'm talking about. Because even though we might have different opinions, we're probably still feeling the same way by whatever is going on in society, right? So there's a validity to both of our opinions. It's all just based off of our own perspectives. So when you think about yourself and you think about communication and how much it's rapidly changed since 2020, have you been able to step back and analyze what is actually good for you, right? With the communication that you're having in your life? This is a really challenging thing to do because sometimes the people that we surround ourselves with don't understand these shifts, right? They're going to have resistance around it because they may not be doing it in their own lives. And that's okay. They might not be ready to, right? Like that's when it comes back to these opinions and respecting that and validating that. But if you're listening to this podcast, you've probably already started to analyze your communication differently just based off of like some of the things that I've shared in the past, right? Like communication is so powerful. What happens with things like the internet or Instagram or Facebook when they're not regulated, that communication can be harmful, you know? So that's why it's our job as users to regulate it for ourselves. Like I shared earlier, that's why I started limiting my own time. And I don't have children, so I can't really speak on that fact, but I would say follow your intuition with that type of thing. And you'll be able to pass down beliefs that will be strongly instilled in your children. Like that's why I shared what my mom did for me and how it's impacted my life. That same scenario might not work for you in today's day and age, but you can, of course, come up with your own intuitively that you think would benefit your children. It's just all very interesting. And even though I don't have many answers around this because it is such gray area, like we have no clue how this level of communication on Instagram, on TikTok, on social media is going to impact the generations to come. We have no clue. There's no crystal ball here. This communication is going to impact generations to come. This shift will impact every single person on this planet, right? Even people that are elders, right? Like they still had to adapt to having a cell phone versus using a landline, which like if you're, you know, any younger than me, you probably don't even know what a landline is, right? Like it's miraculous how far humans have come in a short amount of time, but it's good to be aware of that traction, right? And the rapidity of it, right? And like how fast it's come on for all of us because we haven't had time to adjust. And then, like I said, in return, without that adjustment, without being on top, monitoring yourself, it will have a trickle down effect, right? Like even with myself, like I'll be honest with you guys, sometimes I'm like scrolling on the couch, like whatever, for an hour after work, and I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? Like I literally look up for air. That's like what I'm starting to say. I come up for air out of the scroll hole, and I'm like, what the hell? Like, I just wasted an hour, and then I wonder why every night feels like it goes by in like 6 minutes, right? Well, that social media is sucking my energy. It's taking everything out of me when I would rather be honestly like drawing or doing a puzzle or something, or maybe even talking with Sean or going on a walk with Bailey, right? Like, there's other ways I want to be spending my time, so I have to stay aware of that. And I think that that's what's going to be the biggest trickle down effect of this growth. Like, people are either going to choose to become aware and start to save themselves, or they're going to choose to go to the other side of the spectrum, right? And like I said, that's no judgment on either way of it, but I know where I want to be, and I would encourage you all to think about where you want to be as well, because this mental health impact that it will have on us as a society will be long term, and that's okay. That's not to scare us. Again, that's where the awareness comes in, and that end in mind, right? That's really what awareness is. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I hope that it resonated with you. And if it did, I would love to hear your feedback in a podcast review or in a DM, whatever is more frequent for you guys. We will be launching our new membership program very, very soon. I'm super excited. And if you like this type of topic, these are the higher level types of philosophies, I guess, that we may be sharing on our calls as well, because we as business owners have to have a well-rounded view of what's going on in society to be able to provide well for our ideal clients, right? So we have to stay a little bit more woke than most people may want to. But I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I just appreciate you all so much. I'm sending hugs through this podcast mic, and I will see you guys next week. Thanks so much. Thank you so much for listening to The End in Mind. I would like to remind you all, if you haven't yet reached out to me on Instagram, we are at Meraki_media_management. It will be in our show notes as well. If you would like to reach out to me, we always offer free coaching through Instagram based around our Instagram training and our business Instagram practices. If you need any type of support, please do not hesitate to reach out to me there. And we also offer several different types of consulting and training packages if you're looking for a little bit more in-depth tips. So thank you all for listening in, and of course, I want you all to keep the end in mind as you continue with your day and or work week. Have a great week, and I will see you all next time.